Management Zone Committee people, please. Good to see you all. Who wants to be first, or do you want to do it together? You normally come up together, but whatever you're happy with.
Yeah, I can control it.
Yeah. So collectively, if you can keep it around 15 minutes altogether, if that would be nice, please. Thank you.
Yeah, just.
If it's green, you'll go.
If it's green, it's all go. Perfect. Thank you very much for having us in this is our last triennial report for the year. I've introduced myself before, and you've probably met Mike before when you've been here in other years. We'll get on with our update. So, I guess just quickly on the review, just reiterating some of our views that we've had kind of carried as a committee for the last wee while, that we think that Christchurch, West Mountain is a really unique committee, and we think that community activation, collaboration and partnership and participation is really important, and that also the unique structure of the committees is a really useful way to get a lot of stakeholders in one room at a time, which is often really hard in a council setting, and that we hope to see something along these lines continue in the future in our communities, because we think it would be a real loss to lose some of the amazing minds that have participated in our space over the years. Do you have anything to add on that, Mike?
No, you're fine.
Perfect.
The Zone Committee for the last few years has been running a Stormwater Superheroes Awards program, and I think it's been growing in a bit of popularity and its reach, and I thank the Mayor again for attending and presenting at the last ceremony. But we considered the future of that, and we would now have a proposal to expand that more broadly and build on the success of the business-orientated stormwater model, but include more categories that involve industry, community, government, education and science elements. So a broader, more Healthy Waterways Awards program, hopefully with good corporate sponsorship. But it would require council, and it's probably working with Environment Canterbury, the Zone Committee in whatever reshape it is, and we have a particular interest in having the Community Waterways Partnership Secretariat or Facilitation Unit run by council to sort of lead on that. And we look forward to a briefing with that steering group to the Community Waterways Partnership in the new year to further explore the development of that broader Healthy Waterways Awards program. On the same vein, in terms of our state of our waterways, it's a bit of a sad state, but I would commend council. They have continued to produce quite an extensive water quality monitoring program across their five or six catchments, and produce an annual report in report cards. Generally, our highly urbanised catchments are in poor health. So obviously we need more commitment by both councils, Environment Canterbury and the City Council and the community, to move those into more of an improvement model. Importantly for us, that annual report, which is quite technically quite competent, it produces some recommendations for further action. And I would like to bring that to your attention, whether you've considered those recommendations or not so far. But they are worth considering and actioning. And in particular, the Zone Committee is very interested in participating in the further development of a Healthy Water Bodies Action Plan that was drafted by Council last year.
Great. We've got some kind of update since we made the original. Oh no, actually that is exactly what's happened. We have allocated our action plan funding just in lieu of knowing that the review's coming up. We've got some amazing projects and some great ones that we are funding for a second or third year, which is really great. That consistency of funding has been really, really significant for their operation, and a real mix of educational and community-based funding, and also bigger projects where there's like niche items that need to be done to allow for like other resourcing in the future to happen, which has been really, really good. So yeah, we're really happy with that. But just to note there as well, and I think you probably have this with other like funding opportunities at the moment, that we were between 2 and 3 times like over allocated in terms of what people were applying for, and it was very hard to see photos of amazing programs happening across our area and in schools and doing great things, and then tell those people that we're giving them half their money and asking if they can still kind of operate for the rest of the year. So that was definitely a bit of a struggle, but that's allocated, and I think we've done it in a fairly in as just way as we can. So that's really cool. And apart from that, Mike, do you have anything else to add?
I think our last slide is Merry Christmas to you all and enjoy the festive season.
Yeah, have a nice break.
Merry Christmas and thanks for everything you guys have been doing. Can I just clarify? It says funding was reduced to 50k. Can you just explain to me what that means?
So we had, from memory, we had 75,000 last year to allocate, and that was reduced this year to 50,000. Because that budget, to my knowledge, comes from Environment Canterbury. And
From Environment Canterbury.
yeah, and so as part, they just reduced it.
I
Yeah.
see, okay.
Previous to that, it was 100,000.
That's right.
So we've
And do you receive any funding through Christchurch City Council as part of that?
Not action plan, not funding for the
Okay.
action plan, but the resourcing of staff, like
Yeah.
our agendas and stuff, would come from City Council.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your report and the work that you do. I'm just interested in the process for us considering the recommendations. Is there a formal way which you'll provide the recommendations to us around the water quality targets? Or is this a...
That report is produced by council staff, and I'm assuming council has been briefed on the the state of our waterways. For us, it was really the recommendations in that report, with effectively to council,
Right.
and how you may be considering or actioning those recommendations.
Okay, so we've just done our draft annual plan yesterday, and I don't think we got any... Did we get any... I mean, maybe staff can just advise the process around how we consider.
Yeah, so an example is that there was a recommendation to progress the development of the Healthy Water Bodies Action Plan, which we strongly support. So I don't know where that's at and how you guys are operating.
Okay. And just a high level sense, as you come to the end of this, the report, but in terms of the Canterbury Water Management Strategy and the Zone Committee review, I see that it's gone to the Merrill Forum and then it's going to come back in the new year.
Where's Murray? There you are. Murray, would you like to speak to this briefly? There you go. You can take our seat now.
The Merrill Forum, the 29 November Merrill Forum papers are available online today. So we'll be making copies available both to we've got a session with the chairs and deputies of all the water zone committees across Canterbury this evening, and then we'll circulate that to all the zone committee members, but also to all the councils as well. So the key recommendations focus around, in terms of across all of Canterbury, that the zone committee structure was seen as being not working consistently well. So we're looking to move to a new structure. So between now and June next year, we'll look to both conclude the committees as they currently are, but also look at a new structure in the new year. So we'll be reporting through the Merrill Forum in May, which is their next meeting, and that will involve engagement with all the councils as well prior to that in terms of what the new structure will look like.
Okay.
There is the expectation that the new structure will consolidate around councils, Environment Canterbury and Runanga confirming that approach.
And does that include the review of the Canterbury Water Management Strategy?
No, it doesn't specifically refer to the strategy itself, but I guess a work stream that's related to that in terms of the 2025 targets and goals of the strategy, and then the 2030 targets and goals of the strategy is also another work stream that's being developed and worked through between now and May next year.
I guess I'm concerned that we're not meeting the targets in that strategy, but we're changing the structure without reviewing or understanding why we're not meeting the targets in the strategy. So it seems like, do we know what's not working with the strategy in terms of achieving the targets, and are we putting in place a structure to try and address that?
I think it's fair to say that the structure will incorporate how we're progressing against those targets and goals and looking to do an improved job between 2025 and 2030. So that will be part of, I guess, what the new model and approach will do is looking at what level of success has been achieved with the strategy.
Right.
So they are related.
So I guess a question for the zone committees or for staff, but in terms of if you were giving it a grade out of 5 in terms of meeting the targets or not meeting the targets or the success of achieving objectives with the strategy, what sort of ranking would you give it? If 1 was the best and 5 was the worst? Or you could do it out of 10. I mean, whatever.
No, out of 5 is fine. I think I can have a mini rant in that it's an interesting question because the truth is the zone committees aren't resourced to complete the goals of the Canterbury Water Management Strategy. That is also a job for the councils and the parties to the strategy. The zone committees basically, in terms of power or ability to do anything now, is we get given 50k a year and we can make recommendations that go to council. But in terms of pre-consultation on plans, in terms of zips that happened in the past, which people worked extremely hard on, and then were never actually budgeted or implemented, the zone committee has done the groundwork, and I can speak for members in the past who are fairly disgruntled now that action hasn't taken place, that in theory I would rate the effort to do things as a 5, and the people you've got in the room and their ability to be influencers in their community as 5s, but the ability to get to the strategy is probably a far more high level discussion in terms of there is funding needed there and there is national direction needed there that would allow for that. But I would say if you're looking at purely measurement of how we've gotten to the strategy goals, it's not very high. But yeah, anyone else can speak to that.
Strategies failed, basically.
Yeah, no, I think Oscar's articulated that really well. Yeah, in terms of our ability to make progress towards those sort of strategy targets, yeah, it would be very low, 2 out of 5 perhaps.
Yeah. It just happened for another piece of work that I was looking at kind of groundwater levels and quality in the Selwyn catchment, and it is still increasing. Nitrate trends are increasing and across the catchment and to depths. Let's be fair though, this is a hideously complicated problem with lots of parties involved. But I think actually fundamentally you're right in terms of is it achieving what we need it to be? I'm not sure that answer's been answered, and I'm not sure. I'm actually personally really disappointed with the outcome of that Merrill review. I think it's really short-sighted, and I'm actually pretty I'll leave it there. But I just feel like local communities need to be involved in this decision making. And the way the structure sounds to be, it's moving it up away from grassroots to runanga reps and councillors and to a much higher level. And if you actually want success, you need people, you need farmers to buy in, you need your businesses that live on these streams and work on these streams, you need them to buy in. You don't need strategies. You do need a strategy, but you actually need to implement it. And I think that implementation hasn't been done.
I should say thank you for your honesty. It's good for us to hear that. As someone who's been very concerned over a number of years around the water management strategy and the targets not being met, it is good to hear your feedback. So thank you.
Okay, Pauline?
But yeah, can I just support you in that? And both Phil and I were part of feeding into the review at times, and that's exactly what we've been saying. And I've spent considerable time on the Christchurch West Melton Zone Committee, and I think that's the community working together is a key factor. And it's also the Banks Peninsula one I've had something to do with as well. Without that, nothing would work. We need to be reducing the contaminants at source. So I think there's two things that are important for the zone committees to do, and that's in the field of research and data and also empowering communities. But my question to you is, are you working closely with the Community Waterways Partnership, which I think our council is leading? Is that correct?
From my perspective, I think the Community Waterways Partnership, I think it has over 50 members, but it's still early days. It hasn't quite
Yep.
figured out how it should function as a partnership.
Yep.
The role that council has in facilitating that through a relatively small group of people
Yep.
is highly valuable, and I think there's potential to build a more collaborative partnership that's more constructive, I suppose.
Yes,
doing
you're
things
saying it's
rather
got-
than not.
It's got a lot of potential, and particularly in those two, the slides where you have the Stormwater Superheroes trailer and the awards.
Yes.
Two things I think the partnership wants to pick up, and
Yeah.
Councillor Coker and I have been having discussions about this and whether that's actually could do with some more resourcing through our annual plan without somehow having a huge rate impact. So
Yeah.
talking a little bit of money.
For me, the other important element is council's progressing its own draft Healthy Water Bodies Action Plan.
Yep,
That is a vehicle where everyone can come in and join and participate and contribute
yep,
as it's developed and then implemented.
yep.
So that is a vehicle to pull people together in a real collaborative partnership.
Yeah, and if I can just say, Jenny Huey, the previous chair of ECAN, what was the one she had, the Urban Rivers Committee? And even though it hasn't been reactivated this triennium, there's a lot of data there that was pulled together in the 3 or 4 meetings that we had, which would be quite valuable to feed all that in as well.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you for the work you're doing. It's incredible, and I know it's frustrating too. Yeah.
Thank you, and Tyler, and then that will do. Thank you.
Just for staff, have we had a memo sent around the review for the zone committees and how the review went? Sorry, this is for staff. It's a question on whether we've had a memo sent around the review process for the zone committees and seeing what's happening with them.
We have a resolution for it to come back to us before it's approved.
Yeah, that we can try it at the moment.
Okay, no, sweet.
But as soon as there's something to, we'll show you. Yeah.
There should be a resolution from the last zone committee report that we wanted it to come back to us before the changes are made.
I'm pretty sure it's been discussed in a briefing, but I'll go back and have a look.
Yeah, I'm just trying to recall. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
But I agree. I mean, it's a concern that it is being led by the mayoral forum, and the one I went to, where it came up, most of them didn't know anything about it. And I'm not saying Phil doesn't, because our one's quite relevant because it's urban, but it's a concern.
They are formally joint committees, and so we should have input into actually what's happening in that space. We keep getting told that we can't have impact, but we can't sort of change things because someone else has already made a decision, but actually they're joint committees and we need to have influence.
Thank you very much. Brilliant. Yeah, thank you for your update and your honesty. So it's good. It's all good info. And Merry Christmas. Thank you, guys. Do we have to move that?
Yeah, we'll just receive the report.
Okay, receive the report. Pauline's happy to move it, and Sarah's happy to second it. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thanks, carried.
Sorry,
Now-
I just
Yanni?
had my hand up. Just wanted to add, we received the information in the update report, and thank the zone committees for the work they've done over the year.
Fair enough. Yep.
If that's
Absolutely.
okay.
No, it's
Thank
good.
Mary, have you taken a note that councillors would like to see progress on the...
Yes, yeah.
Yep, she's got that down. Now, we're just going to change around. We're going to now do item 10, please, which is Hanui Lane between Gloucester Street and Amar Street. If Mike